If you have been here for any amount of time, you would know the amount of drama that this van causes me. So I was having a great weekend until I discovered my van is leaking fluid. I've been parked for 5 minutes and that's how much fluid's come out. It's potentially a bearing issue. No. Be prepared for the drama of all dramas, the final chapter in my van life story. You read the title correctly, and no, it's not clickbait, it's like legit. My van actually blew up. I've been trying to shoot this video now for a while, and one day I turned it but then it just became this big rambling and I just couldn't get it out. But I'm here to tell you the story. Now, if you're a Patreon follower, you already know what happened. I already gave you all those updates. And if you ever want to know stuff in advance, you can head on to my Patreon page and have a bunch of different tiers. But if you're not a Patreon follower, settle in because I might as well just tell you the whole story. Let's backtrack a little bit because you're probably confused, especially because I also released a video a few weeks ago saying I'm selling my van. Well, that was all well and true, and it's all well and true that yes, someone was gonna buy it. They had the check in hand, I had the keys in hand. We were gonna do like a swap later in that week, and about 2 days prior to meeting up to do the handover, she started giving me transmission issues. She was not shifting, she wouldn't shift out of gear, and eventually she wouldn't even shift out of first gear and just rev. Obviously that's not good, so I had to tell the guy that I can't sell him the van, which was really disappointing, and it kind of like derailed all his plans, which I also felt really bad about. But it's all good. He was really glad that I told him about, you know, the issues and that I wanted to fix them. But by the time that I got them fixed, he was disinterested, which is totally fine. You know, like it's totally fine because it was about 3 weeks before I could actually get the problem with it fixed, and it was this minor fix, I'll have you know. And I was like, oh, that's great. So of course the guy says no to buying the van, so I had put it back on Facebook Marketplace. It's been up for a few months at this point, and so I'm like, I should go out and take new photos. So about 7 days after getting this transmission issue fixed, I start up the van and the check engine light's on, and I was just like, I have never been more annoyed with a breakdown, especially because it was so frustrating because I just got it in. They just told me the transmission looked great and now my check engine light's on. Like, I was just so frustrated. I sent it to my mechanic. Turns out the glow plugs in it were done. Luckily, the glow plugs, if you know anything about glow plugs, they came out nicely. It didn't become a huge thing, and they were able to do it for super cheap. Yay, good, no problem. At this point, there's no bites on my van. No one seems to be interested in my van, and I have a friend who wanted to do the van life thing. And I was like, you know what, why don't you rent my van? And I thought this was a good give and take. I could give my friend my van for relatively cheaper than what you can find a van on Outdoorsy, and I also will get a little bit of money out of it. You know, it's just like a win-win for both parties. So she comes and picks it up around 2 p.m. on, I think it was a Friday. That day I was completely exhausted and I ended up going to bed early, and I end up waking up around 10 p.m. at night, and I was like, you know, I have this funny feeling like I should just check my phone. And so I did.
The van broke down. It's trying to send you a text about it, but it's not going through that kind of spotty reception. So yeah, if you can, call me back as soon as you get this. Make a plan, okay?
Oh my God. So my friends ended up having to abandon the van. They were able to get a hotel that was down the road, and someone else came to pick them up. And there was no tow trucks available, unfortunately. At that time of night, a tow truck was going to come the next morning. So the next morning I got in my car and I went to pick up my friends, and the tow truck went and got my van and they brought it back home, and I got my friends and they're all settled and they ended up figuring out other plans. I get back to my van and yeah, oil is everywhere, like all over the driveway, all over the road leading up to the driveway. Like, you just know that it's not good. I'm in contact with a traveling mechanic, so instead of like you going to them, he comes to you type thing. And showed up to assess the damage. It wasn't good news.
Big hole. They blew the engine right up on you.
Oh no.
You see it?
Oh my God. Holy shit, it's right there.
we're right
Oh
in the open.
my
It's blue
God.
So they must have ran it out of oil or over revved it really.
Yeah. Turns out now I have a good solid 4-inch hole in my block. And for those who don't know what that means, it essentially means it needs a whole new engine. And yeah, a whole new Mercedes engine with labor is like a $50,000 fix. I'm not fixing it, so that's actually the end of the van. Please understand, it can be done for less than $50,000, but like the high end is $50,000, low end maybe 35, you know, so it's just like, that's what happened. There's my van drama. Just like so at peace with the whole thing, being like, it was just like the last thing that I just like, you know what, I got nothing left, you know, I got nothing left to just, it's whatever at this point. And it's still whatever. I have no animosity towards my friend. There's no animosity towards the van. It's just a kind of like, it's just whatever. So I'm currently trying to sell the van as is. So I've like disclosed in the listing, like it's a whole new engine, but everything else in it works fine. Yeah, that's the end of van life actually though. Like actually, there's no more drama, I hope, but really that is the end for me. I will have you know, I do have a van tour video that I shot before all of this happened. I've never done a van tour and I feel like I owe you a van tour. But anyway, yeah, expect that in the future. Got some more fun hiking summer adventures coming out, and yeah, in the meantime, I'll see you next week. Bye. Because it was left on the Malahat, basically on the side of the highway overnight, someone clipped it, right? When my friends came back to collect all their stuff from the van, they said this was fine when they had left it, so it just makes me think someone was whipping down the highway and it just got clipped. So, you know, I was a little bit upset about it because I know this is probably like an $1,000 fix, but when I found out what happened to the engine, I was like, well, whatever, it's just one more thing.